Welcome to the MadTrio Podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James, the Fat Man Stevens, hello, and Ryan, no watch, no fun, Preston. So this week...
Oh, that's going to make fun without the context.
So there is something I found that I'm actually totally interested in. Alien star Michael Biehn, B-I-E-H-N, to reprise his role as Hicks for the Aliens 3 audio drama. So Aliens is certainly one of these classic sci-fi movies of all time, and a true worthy sequel to the original Alien. Well, there have been subsequent sequels after Aliens. Writer William Gibson's Alien 3 script never made it to the screen. This is why I'm super jazzed.
Was this the one that was supposed to be involved with the whatever that shitty Aliens one? Okay.
No, you're talking about Prometheus.
Yes.
No.
It's supposed to be like spin-off.
This is the second Alien. This is Aliens, which is the second of the original trilogy. So, which I didn't realize, William Gibson, who's a famous author, apparently wrote an Aliens 3 script, which I didn't know. And and this is brought to you by audible.com. So I'm totally want to see it. By the way, I hope they make the Prometheus, because the original Prometheus script was going to be amazing. And then you got the bastard.
Whatever the hell came out.
Yeah. So what do you think, Ryan?
I fucking like Michael Biehn. So yeah, no, I like the franchise. So yeah, that's one they can keep going with, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, excuse me. Oh, this is even more badass. This terrifying cinematic multicast dramatization directed by multi-award-winning Dirk Mag, M-A-G-G-S. This is even cooler. So it's going to be an actual audio drama. So it'll be multi-cast members. One of the best.
Is Weaver going to be in it?
Well, that's starting to come back. You know, there's some audiobooks that I've listened to that actually have like a full cast production.
So you don't know how to read.
Some of them are fucking fantastic.
It doesn't actually say.
No, not at all.
You just recognize logos, huh?
So
Exactly.
one of the best audio drama / radio plays that I've ever listened to. The BBC released one of Lord of the Rings when I got it for Christmas when Fellowship of the Rings came out, but it's amazingly well done. It's actually one of the better ones I've ever heard, and I'm a huge audiobook enthusiast and stuff like that. I'm heavily into old time radio.
Audible's my jam. Right now I'm listening to Neil Gaiman book called Good Omens.
That's awesome. I want to subscribe to Audible again. The only issue is just like, it's either get rid of, like, for me, Crunchyroll or Audible, and it's like, right now, I've literally been waiting for there not to be one anime I'm into, and so far that hasn't happened the last year and a half I've had it. So, but yeah, I'm gonna have to buy this when it comes out because it reads like it's gonna be amazing, and I fucking love Aliens. It's one of my favorite universes. Granted, I didn't like the third one, but I liked it a hell of a lot better than I loved Prometheus. Have you seen the second one?
No.
Hey, Brian, have you seen the second Prometheus?
No, after the first one, I was done with the Prometheus.
I kind of want to see it, but I don't have the free time enough to burn a couple hours.
Yeah, how long is the second one? Like 2.5 or 3?
That's a damn good question. I'm assuming it's probably 2.5 because there's not a lot of movies these days that are 2 hours.
That got me wondering.
I don't remember. Do you remember what is it called? Prometheus? Because I swear there was a second one that came out.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't called Prometheus.
No,
it was something else.
Was it Alien Covenant?
No.
I don't fucking remember. Look it up.
Huh. Oh, I'm assuming this is because it has Michael Fassbender.
Oh, there we go. Hold on.
Catherine Watson.
Yeah, Alien Covenant. Yeah, you're right. This one was just over 2 hours. Yeah.
So it's about average nowadays. The funniest thing about that is it seems like movies are getting longer because when we were kids, the standard movie seemed to be an hour and a half, like 90 minutes.
It's a 6.4, Metacritic 65%, Rotten Tomatoes 65%.
Ooh, that's harsh.
78% on the Google users liked it. That's pretty bad.
Oh my God. So here's So where no idiot has gone before, apart from in Prometheus, of course, Aliens, Paradise Lost, and a cinema no one can hear you cringe. And these are the titles of the reviews. Not just disappointed, I am angry. Worst alien movie and insult to its fans. Insulting piece of idiocracy. You canceled Blank Cup's Aliens 5 for this. By the way, that's the one I want to see. The original script for Prometheus was supposed to be absolutely badass. And you can actually find it online. Oh, alien? Meet annoying android with daddy issues. Holy crap, this gave it a 7 out of 10. Utterly heartbroken by this disastrous monstrosity. Why the fuck did you give it a 7 out of 10? So, Ryan, you got to read the reviews on
the second one
on Alien Covenant. They're absolutely hilarious. And this has a pretty banging cast, too.
Yeah, it does.
Matthew Fassbender, Catherine Watterson, Billy Crudup.
Oh.
Billy Crudup. How the fuck do you not know Billy Crudup? Come on.
No, I'm just saying if I'm saying the name
Dr.
right.
Manhattan and Watchmen.
Yeah. I know who he was. I just don't know if I'm saying the name right.
Giving John a... Because I'm not going to bother
and
even try to
he's
look up the
worried
name.
about saying Billy Crudup right, and he fucking says, like...
Billy
What
Crap
did you say? Matthew Fassbender?
Yeah.
Close enough. That's his evil. That's his evil twin brother.
I'm just completely used to John just screwing up all the names, so it's like, huh? Okay, yeah,
Hey,
John, I don't know who that is. Can you pronounce it properly? I've given up.
Hey, I corrected myself.
So I will go look at IMDb when he's looking at it just to see who they are and be like, oh, that guy.
Hey, I corrected myself. So go blow a goat.
I mean, he can barely even say Adam Sandler right.
Who?
See?
Well, you have to like him first.
Jim Carrey's coming back in movies again. Did you see that?
By the way, in the stupidest fucking movie.
No. I just, like, why would you pick that role?
Why do you need a Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Well, he's been doing the series of unfortunate events, right?
No, that was...
No, he was in that, and then he kind of did the series with him.
No, he wasn't in the series. That was Doogie.
Doogie Howser?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, the series was
The
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah,
right,
thank you.
Then they were using the wrong background when I saw the thing, because it was Jim Carrey when I looked at the poster.
He might have been in some of it, but as far as I know, the main...
No, he wasn't in any of it.
I watched the movie.
The series
was,
on Netflix. It's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, but it's not something I'm really into for a long term. It's just kind of like one of those that I'll visit it and then move on and then visit it again type thing, you know?
Fuck, how did this movie bomb? This Alien Covenant literally has an amazing cast. What the fuck?
It's the writing.
Well, come on. How many movies have you seen? An amazing cast doesn't mean anything's going to be good. It means they're trying to throw money at the problem.
Let's just say, you know what it really means?
Look, I mean, no one goes out to make a bad movie, but
trauma.
A lot of things can go wrong. Starting with a terrible script, and
you say what it really means is the fact that they couldn't hire good actors to fix the script. Because usually what happens, you have a bad script, you hire amazing actors. The amazing actors make up for the fact that it's a shit movie, or they just show a lot of tits.
Yeah, but it never does make up for that fact.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
No, not at all.
I mean, I've seen lots of movies where they show tits, and I'm like, this movie's shit.
You guys got to stop talking over each other.
It gets people to the theater on the
I want to talk over him as much as I want.
Hey,
oh, he stopped.
hey, Ryan, are you interested in the new Hellboy?
No,
I actually am.
Yeah, this is like a different. I don't really like the look of David Harbour, but that actually doesn't bother me as much as the fact Guillermo's not on this movie.
That bugs me the most. Give it a shot. I mean, it could totally be just shit, but it's not like I'm going to go out and I've seen it.
Hellboy looks like he has a heroin problem.
He does. Have you looked at his life? Anyways, I'm actually kind of on the fence on it. It's not like I'm going to go out to theaters to see it, but it's one of those, I'll check it out when it ends up on Netflix or Prime.
Ooh, this has another minus mark on it. Mila Jovovich is in this.
Yeah, I saw that.
Oh, Ian McShane's in it.
Yeah.
You hear they're doing the Deadwood movie, right?
Yeah. You said it last week?
HBO. Did I?
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if I brought it up or not.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Mila's in it. I used to really like her, but since pretty much every role she's had ever since Resident Evil has been the same fucking character, almost literally, it gets. I don't really like her all that much.
Yeah. But so speaking of heroin addicts,
I got one more. Have you seen the new Dumbo movie? Any of you?
no.
This is what I want to know, and if anybody sees it,
Are they gonna have the crows?
that's what I want to know. So if anybody out there sees it, would you let me know? Because it is on one of my movies to watch list, but it'll be years before I actually get a chance
But
to see
that's
it.
where he gets the feathers. How can you not have the crows?
Well, that's what I'm kind of wondering if they do it. Like, for example, Disney basically said, if I remember correctly, when it comes out in November, the Disney Plus service, there'll be the edited versions of it. I think, did we discuss this?
No.
So I think we did, but basically to recap, my whole thing with movies is the fact I'm a very purist, not only to the original source, but to the spirit and the art form of the movie. I don't like edited movies because it's not what the original director wanted, and minus George Lucas, which generally I have issues with. I don't like movies being edited, or if you edit it, I want the original one being available. The best way to show it is 1960s Johnny Quest. There's an episode in there when they're in a jungle. He calls these people savages. Not politically appropriate now, but it's in the original source material. I think in order to pay respects to the artist and original vision of the movie, TV show, I think it should be in. I've just always been, I'm a very purist when it comes to stuff like that. And so because the Black Crows are apparently a stereotype, which by the way, they could be. I actually have no idea. They're not going to be in it, but as a kid, that was my favorite scene.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm wondering how you can get rid of that because that's key to the story. They give him the feather, making him believe that he can do something, and then he finds out later that he can do it without the placebo type thing.
I'm assuming they just won't have the kind of singing and dancing bit, maybe? I don't know. That's why I want to know how they do it, because I'm curious on how they change the story.
Well, it really wouldn't make a difference who gave it to him or anything like that. I mean, I agree that you should be able to find the, original stuff, and you can. It might be at a premium cost. But I also get that Disney would want to sort of retcon their really dicey history when it comes to that shit, because they do re-release things, throw them in moratorium for a long-ass time, and then 10 years later, they re-release it, maybe with some bonus features. And when you're reselling stuff to next generations, you have to really keep in mind how things have changed.
Okay, wait a
it's
second.
Like, hey, we're just making this available to the adults who wanted to buy it. But no, they're actively marketing it and things like that. So, I mean, I get it.
I understand the fact that because Disney doesn't take risks. At this point in time, Disney's so big, any big risk could affect them majorly. I understand that. I understand not politically correctness and even racism-wise, Disney doesn't have the greatest track record. That being said, I personally, and this is my personal opinion, I think it behooves them to have the original source material available for a couple of reasons. One, I already stated. But the other thing is, if you take a look at like Disney's Songs of the South, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, whatever they did, it's a reflection of history of where the United States was or where the world was at the time. All movies are a reflection of the period they were created in. Now, you can disagree with me, but I'm right. That's why I don't like it.
I absolutely agree with you, and I'm just saying in the reselling of it, the repackaging and all of that, selling it to a different set of people than it was originally sold to. It's not saying like, hey, own a piece of history. It's like Disney markets way specifically to kids, and they get a new generation into the same things they've been pimping since the 30s.
See, I think, but I think
to me, it's very much akin to, do I think that we should get rid of all Confederate statues? No, throw them in some fucking museums. Let's not retcon history. Let's not whitewash it or
Well, see, here's
or anything like that. And each side has its heroes and all that. But take them down outside a building. Fuck yeah, fuck them.
Well,
Go have a fucking war. Win a war, and then we can talk.
Well, one of the issues with that is sorry for the coughing, by the way. Unlike statues and other things, film has a very limited short shelf life, especially when the media it's on. 20 years from now, I doubt there's going to be any VHS tape players. So the problem is going to be...
When has that stopped Disney?
Well, no, here's the issue, is the fact that I want them to re-release the censored and non-censored version. I want them to do as much cleanup.
Re-releasing it is going to be Disney basically saying they're okay with it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. What Disney's doing, and this is what makes me mad, and you guys out there can say, I'm a CSI, white guy, blah, 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 what do you know, blah, 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 blah. But the fact that I want my kids to be able to see the stuff that's not particularly so nice because it's reality. I don't necessarily like Disney saying, for example, Song of the South, one of my favorite cartoons as a kid, revolutionary for the time. They'll never show it because it's apparent racism. No, it could be racist. To me, it's not. But I'm really hard to... But A, I'm a white guy. B, I'm really hard to piss off. There's really not much you can say to me that'll get me angry if you don't know me. But I want my kids to be able to watch that because A, it generates a great discussion saying, okay, what's wrong with it? So that's what pisses me off. I don't like that because to me it's revisionist history.
But again, we're talking about a repackaging and re-releasing of that.
Well, they never will because it's racist. It's just like the fact that...
But that's my point, is that they're not going to do that. So you're still able to find the source material and go back and watch it and track it down and throw the context in when you're watching it with your kids. But for them to say like, hey kids, this is something that good old wholesome Disney endorses, switch right from Mickey Mouse Club, which is not a thing anymore, to the re-release of Dumbo. And
I think you're
parents throw on Disney and they watch movies and they don't necessarily watch their kids watch Disney movies because it's Disney.
I think you're missing,
when you're re-releasing shit from the 50s.
I think you're missing what I'm laying down here. Basically, what I'm saying is by Disney not re-releasing it or making it available, 20 years from now, none of the controversial Disney stuff will be accessible because either media, there's no way to play it. The media itself is degraded. Basically, it's like when...
That is insane.
So basically, it's like what happened when DVDs came around and VHS went away. What people don't know...
I guarantee you, if I went on YouTube right now, I can find the original fucking Dumbo from, 1939, if I remember right?
Give it time. All this stuff takes time to go away.
It exists on the internet. You're almost banking on the internet.
I still have Nazi Donald Duck.
Trust me. Eventually, this stuff will make it hard because it's really not hard. For Disney has groups of lawyers pulling stuff off of YouTube as we speak. So basically, what I'm saying is,
but I mean, people are still going to have that, and people are still going to. I mean, it's already been transferred to DVD, from original tapes and all that stuff. I mean, it might not be the best copy in the world, but
it's
you're still going to be able to find it.
Well, basically, it's going to be like black market movies. When you go to a guy on the internet street corner and say, "Hey, do you have the version of Dumbo with the with the?"
You can do that in
China.
China.
I mean, really, what's also the big deal about just saying, "Hey, youngster, when I was young, they had this extra part of the movie."
They used to lynch people
because I still think it's revisionist history to some degree if you cannot actually show what it was.
So Disney should re-release the original phallic symbol Little Mermaid cover?
I'm okay with that.
All right.
But I want
you know about that one, right, Ryan?
Basically what I want is...
Oh, fuck yeah, man. My neighbor had it.
So did mine.
We found out about it and went immediately to his house and just looked at it. We're like, there's like 14 cocks on this fucking thing.
So basically what I want is I want Disney to, even if you have to be an adult to see it, I want the totally original, unedited, cleaned up version and then the modern version. That's all I want. They'll never do it, but I would love to see it online.
No, they haven't been doing that since they re-released The Lion King on DVD and they re-released why am I drawing a blank on Beauty and the Beast? They added the new songs to them once they put them on DVD.
See, that bugs me.
It bugs me
basically
too,
it's like
but
being
I
George
watch it
Lucas.
anyways.
I'm John. I'm right there with you, man. When it comes to most shit like this, like I can't stand that fucking George Lucas added shit to his original already amazing fucking movies, and it immediately takes me out of it because the graphics are way different. You know, it is two different art forms being put on next to each other, and you can tell the difference.
See, it doesn't.
So it just takes me out of it, and then they do the revisionist history thing with the Han shooting first, which was dumb.
See, it doesn't
Didn't do
bother
anything
me.
to serve the story.
It doesn't bother me that he released it. It bothers me is the fact he didn't do the same thing to the original. He didn't clean it up, make it prettier, and release it. That's the part I hate.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Is like, hey man, give me the original unedited movies, but there was no reason to change that.
Yeah, that
was just him and his dumbass artistic choice.
Yeah,
when it comes to the ultra racist shit that happened to have been made by fucking Disney back in the day, I'm cool with them not adding that shit into.
I'm not.
So you don't want to see Leroy anymore?
Pantheon.
I'm not, because I want people to see what Disney did. I want them to see what TV was like. I want them to be able to point. Well, hold on. Time out. Let me finish. I want to be able to point to my kids and future generations to see this is what we like, because eventually, the way modern
you make it sound like people are going to forget.
Yes. Hey, there's already people denying the Holocaust existed, and there's fucking video proof.
Yeah, we call those people fucking morons. Nobody listens to them.
What happens?
Flat earthers.
You think people are not going to forget about what Disney was? There's 1,000 articles and 1,000, little vignettes of movies about like, hey, look, this is what it used to be, with all the little clips added in. There's probably whole history programs you can watch about the dark side of Disney.
To quote a really good friend of ours, never underestimate the power of stupid people. So eventually...
Yeah, but I never underestimate the power
goes.
of stupid people.
So that's...
God, it's never underestimate the power of human stupidity.
Yeah, I like my version better.
Because you smoke crack.
Yeah, but you're also almost positing that everyone's going to be stupid and everyone's going to forget, and it's going to be this collective, like what happened in the long, long ago.
Okay, go back to Men in Black. People are stupid.
So yeah, I
It's
do
like the best motivational speech in any movie.
I do think, give it time, things are disappeared. I realize everybody's going to point out, like, it's just TV, it doesn't matter, or a movie, and you're right, it doesn't, except for the fact it's a pinpoint in history. But that's my opinion, and
right. But it's not something that needs to keep being sort of not really glorified. I'm going to say, but sort of venerated as that part of history when it could just be relegated to, the proverbial textbook of history.
So let me,
for the people who want to learn about it in the future, or for the people like us who would actually tell our kids, like, hey, here's an interesting thing that you probably didn't know about Disney. So, and go through all the little things and show them that. I'm fine with that part, and it not being out there in the zeitgeist.
So let me lay down really the more extreme version of this for me. It's easy to forget when you relegate things to history. When you relegate things to the history books, you don't have to look at it. You don't have to see it. You can avoid it completely. I'm the type of person who wants those controversial statues in the park they're at. I want at least one Confederate flag flying. Same thing with Nazi, because if it makes you fucking uncomfortable at all, it's doing its fucking job, which is to make you at least at some point realize that we have to be better. And that's why it pisses me off. I want a Nazi flag flying just to make people go, ooh, I don't like that. Because it's doing its fucking point. And if you're some Nazi bastard who likes it, kick his fucking ass. But I hate the fact that we as a society, especially in the Western world, are able to relegate society to the history books and fucking forget it. It pisses me off a lot.
Well, wait, hold on, because I'm totally fine with it. There's certain things that need to be forgotten by a generation and turned into like, hey, here's this fucked up thing we did in the past.
See,
I like I said, I would never, ever want anybody to take like Confederate shit or Nazi shit out of museums and all of those things and make all the programming and all of the stuff that has the context attached to it of, hey, here's these things that these people did. Isn't this fucked up? See, opposed to just the flag flying, like look down the street and there's a Nazi flag. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at a Nazi flag for?
That's exactly what I don't want you to have to pay money for it to see it. I want it to be somewhere where it's some
a lot
point.
of museums are free. Not for nothing.
Well, I still want it to be in the open public square. I want all this stuff in one spot or whatever, because I want normal people on their drive to see this shit.
First of all, a flag is representative of stuff. So you hang a Nazi flag, you hang a Confederate flag, you're sort of hanging what it represents.
It makes people,
and we're not talking about like a memorial, like to, hey, here's this fucked up thing we did, and here's the flag that was associated with it.
So
just this sort of lone statue to like a Confederate hero.
My whole basis of that is to make people uncomfortable, to make people think, to generate a discussion, to see it and dislike it. Now, the other side of the argument is 100% the fact that, okay, if you see it all the time, you're going to get used to it, you're going to ignore it, which is 100% true. But it just seems to me that we as a society are just ignoring a lot. And it just seems like the stuff is starting to kick up again.
I don't think we're ignoring. I think we're moving on.
No, I think we're ignoring it. Because I think
I don't think there's anybody who's unaware of how bad Nazis are or the, okay, maybe a lot of people are sort of ignorant about the impetus of the Civil War, but I'm not going to get into that. But what Confederate
Slavery.
flags, might represent, or maybe the atrocities of the Civil War at the very least, or what slavery and all those things was. Nobody's forgetting about those things.
I disagree. Just from conversations I've had in the past, from stuff I've looked up online, and conversations I've had online. I think we're at a point, and in Western history, this is just the United States. I don't know about the rest of the world because, I'm not in the rest of the world. Is the fact that you see the way society is, and the society, we're all about not offending people. So if this offends people, oh no, we can't talk about this because this is offensive. I find it a tad bit ridiculous that we're relegating uncomfortable conversations to not having them because they make you uncomfortable.
I don't want to do that either. I think that that's the only thing that we should be doing is having uncomfortable conversations. But we're talking about two different things there, though. Now it's apples and oranges.
I think I think it's the same conversation. It may be the flip side of it, but I think it's the same thing. Far as I think we're relegating history and facts to certain parts of history because it makes us uncomfortable. Or I don't know. I just think we as a society culture.
Do you think Germany's flying a lot of Nazi flags saying "never forget"?
I think
they're moving on.
So moving on. I think, in my personal opinion, I think somewhere in Germany there should be one Nazi flag flying, so it's a permanent reminder. That's just the way I am. I've always been.
And they probably got. I mean, obviously they kept like Auschwitz and things like that up and turned them into sort of war memorials. So I'm definitely sure they're acutely aware of what was going on.
Germany's a bad case just because the fact, from what I've heard from people I've known personally and what I've read online and et cetera, is World War II and how bad we are is all over Germany and Berlin.
Yeah, but also how bad the Nazis were and all those things. Germany's done a lot of apologizing for it publicly since then.
No, it's
so
Japan's
what
turn.
I'm saying is I'm sure they would never want it taken out of like a place like Auschwitz or as those reminders in these memorials or museums. But ask them if they want their fucking government to hang one outside of their building. That might give some people some bad feelings.
Hey, Ryan.
And I'm not saying everyone needs their safe space. I'm just saying, like, dude, what the fuck?
How many times have you visited one of our own Japanese segregation camps?
Do any exist?
You know what?
Visit?
I did by accident, apparently, a bunch of times before I went there with the intent of seeing it. But there's a racetrack over here, James, you're familiar with it. It's called Santa Anita Racetrack in a city called Arcadia, California. This place used to be a Japanese internment camp.
Yep.
Which I didn't realize till I was, 25.
The whole thing?
And I've been there 1,000 times because I grew up like 6 miles from it.
Decent size.
And it was also where the mall was. But, it was a Japanese internment camp. The reason I found this out is that George Takei,
now John can pronounce some shit right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you how I remembered that too, if you want, because he made me laugh. Yeah, that's how, because I heard an interview and he got fairly irritated that everybody was pronouncing his name right. And he said, it's Takei, like gay. And somehow that just always
hilarious.
stuck.
Oh yeah,
John even did the eye
device.
thing that he does too. It's called Twitch. Anyways,
but yeah, he was given an interview where he was saying, giving the story about his parents, having to leave all of their things to I think like their housekeeper, if I'm not mistaken, and pack up and leave because the government said you're coming with us, and put him in Santa Anita racetrack in like the horse pens and shit.
Yep. Now, the reason I'm bringing that up is, I mean, honestly, in the situation our country was in, I understood why they did it. But, I mean, I don't think we even remotely treated them like we were, like the Jews and the other different cultures that were stuck in concentration camps. If people don't know, there was also gays, there was blacks, there was gypsies inside the concentration camps with the Jews.
Oh, and the German concentration camps.
Yes, the German concentration
allowed
camps.
with the mentally handicapped.
I was getting there. Well, actually, those were actually sent off to their medical testing facilities. But, just, nitpicking. Anyways, but along with twins and other,
Mangala.
Yeah. Anyways, but, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think we need a bunch of little things like that, but it's something that we don't talk about very often. It has been brought up in a few documentaries I've actually seen, but
yeah, the Japanese internment camp is something that is not brought up as much as it should be.
It's swept under the rug.
So I think
it really kind of is. Yeah, that's
coughing.
disappointing now that you fucking bring it up.
Yeah. There is something that in my philosophy that I haven't really come to a conclusion to, is because I'm very about goalposts and signs of where you were. And for a country, if like Germany, that would be like, for example, showing some sort of Nazi flag, etc. Because that's really what I'm about. I like having those remembrances of where we were. Now, I haven't come to a logical conclusion on how you actually do that, because my way of doing it wouldn't really work, because it'd either be extremely offensive, you wouldn't be able to do anything, or people would just ignore it and eventually it would mean nothing. So I don't know how you would actually reasonably do what I think should be done.
Well, it's one
even museums aren't enough because nobody visits museums.
It's one of the good parts of America is as far as like the freedom to kind of go about your business, if you will. There's only going to ever be a certain amount of people who are interested in history. I work with a guy who is just the most least interested person, and I'm going to constantly bring it up because I listen to a lot of like history podcasts and shit like that, and read a lot of random things. In any case, he's sick to death of me bringing this shit up because he's just like, I don't care. I don't care about what some guy did in the past. And I'm like, you don't think this is interesting? And he's like, no, I don't.
Does he have tattoos?
One, he's in the Air Force.
Gay.
That's what I told. Anyway,
ladies and gentlemen, we here at the Mad Trio Show apologize for Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan. Well,
hey, don't bring me into your crap. Leave me out of it.
These views expressed do not necessarily reflect the views of Old Guy Tech.
Exactly.
No, respect to all military.
Or Real Flicks. These are just James talking shit about everybody.
See, the problem is when you know a half dozen or more like a dozen Marines, you tend to hear a lot of jokes that have the Air Force and Navy as the butt of them.
My grandpa was in the Air Force, and I still say gay.
So, from my personal experience, Marines are completely different creatures than Army and Navy and Air Force. Just from my personal experience of talking to Marines.
They're their own breed of fucking people for sure.
See, and what I mean by that, if you guys have never met any Marines out there, meet a Marine. But if Army, other military people are on 100, every Marine I've ever met had dialed up to like 200. They're different creatures.
Anyways,
continuing
on about your gay Air Force friend.
My point is he was uninterested in history. And
what does he think the Air Force
get everybody? You can't get everybody into these things, to be interested to know what the Confederate flag was or what it meant and what it, represents, or the Nazi flag. Although the Nazi flag, I mean, fuck you if you can find somebody who doesn't know what that means.
It's a Buddhist symbol.
It's actually even more ancient than Buddha.
My point is that you would either have to put Confederate flags everywhere, which then what are we doing?
Well, see, here's
or just keep them to the places where the people would want to learn about those things are, like textbooks, because it did happen back in the day. It is history. You don't see the original Union flags flying.
Well, here's the thing. I didn't want them all over the place. My personal opinion is find one spot. And it could be literally anywhere you want. It could be in Washington, D.C. It could be pick a spot and fly these flags, put these monuments wherever. It could be individual cities. It could be one major spot.
We did pick spots. They're called museums.
I don't know anybody who goes to museums besides maybe you. If I ask 100 people, I doubt any of them have gone to a museum in the last 5 years.
Ask them how long it took them to find the La Brea tar pits.
A lot of people walking by the statues might not necessarily know why this person is being venerated with a statue.
Well, what I'm saying is the fact that at least the symbols of the flags, particularly the reason it's symbols of the flags, is everybody's at least seen them. Everybody, one way or another, has some sort of reaction. The statues, if you look at Robert E. Lee, I highly doubt most people know who he is at this point, just because the Civil War is really not talked about. You'd have to be a history buff to even know him, I think. I think even Abraham Lincoln at this point is being kind of relegated. So that's why I'd like these things flown just so somebody can have a visceral reaction and go, okay, I need to learn more. But like I said, that's me. That's just kind of the way I'm built, is having visual reminders of things.
Obviously, I'm if private citizens, like I said, I made this point earlier. I mean, I would have that visceral reaction, but then I'd be questioning the motives of the person who was hanging said flag. A lot of things need the context to go with them. So do you hang a Confederate flag and at the bottom of the flag put this was the side of the people fighting for slavery?
Yes, you put. So here's my opinion, and then this will be hard, but have an honest, unabashed, non-revisionist history thing. You could call it, Remembrance Park or this park or blah 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 park, and have right below the flag. It doesn't have to fly high, it doesn't have to be giant, but put, this is the flag of this. This is what this represented. This is what for the people fought for, and legitimately have a small paragraph of the truth.
I'm good. I'm actually good with that. That's totally fine. I mean, I thought we were just talking about the general like state flying a Confederate flag kind of shit.
But I mean, what are you actually going to be doing with the Confederate flag? Are you just putting it out there saying this is part of our history? Are you actually going to be sitting there and not only putting the Confederate flag, but are you going to be putting the Confederate States flag, even telling who the president was of them? Do you even know who that was, Ryan? Do you know who the Confederate president was?
Jefferson Davis.
Yes.
Fuck! I was going to come up with that too.
So,
I mean, is that what you're going to do? Is it going to be like a whole history thing of what they actually stood for, what it was about? That it wasn't just slavery issues. It was states' rights issues and abolitionist issues.
That's what I was to say. It would have to be, you'd have to build a plaque or do something right that would give enough information, not the revisionist history, because everybody says the Civil War is about slavery. It wasn't all about slavery.
Yeah.
So that's,
it was mostly about slavery.
But that's what I want. I want a plaque that or something that says, that basically gives a very short version of what it was about. Same thing with the Nazi flag. Same thing with this, because for me personally,
are you going to go into the socialist history of the Nazis?
I think you have to have you have to type it up or have it plaque that enough that gives you enough history.
What's the thing with the Nazi thing though? Because that really wasn't even. We were just we went and fought in the war. Like it wasn't like, hey, we were also Nazis.
And
here's the actually incorrect. People is fascism.
The reason why
Italian fascism and not
is because we all in some degrees have the same sins as the Nazis. Minus killing 6 million people, we're all guilty in some ways of having similar attitudes. It's the sin of omission where you're saying,
we're the superior race.
Yeah, or looking down on people. It's just the fact
I don't really have that thought.
So I don't, like I said,
we
it's
all
just
have our own superiority. We call people idiots. I mean, everybody has their own idiocy.
Mostly tongue in cheek, but I realize intellectually that it's dismissive.
So I don't like I said, this has always been my thing far as I like visual representation of where I am and where we've been. And most people do not think the way I do. That's one of the reasons most of the stuff, but so it's just always been the way I am because I realize the way.
Okay. Like I get the let's not whitewash our history. I'm all about that. And the Confederate flag,
Racist.
little monuments and things like that. Like, hey, look, here's.
No, I'm laughing. I'm wondering how many people know what whitewash is.
That's sidetrack on. I'm interested.
That's pretty self-explanatory with context, right?
That's come on, Huck Finn. Let's continue this conversation.
But as far as like the Nazi flag or having some monument to that, like we can't just put every fucking war atrocity throughout mankind because, shades of gray.
By the way, I don't like the idea of calling it, a monument because my idea would not be a monument. It would be.
You're just talking about hanging a flag? Like.
Yeah, because because the
problem
problem
is you can't do it without the context because otherwise it's just like why is this?
Well,
why is this place hanging a Nazi flag?
You have to do it in a way that brings context without bearing the lead. And like I said, I haven't come to a conclusion of how you would do it or even if it's appropriate. Because I'm the type of guy who would own a Nazi flag so I could hold on. So I'm the type of guy who would want to own a Nazi flag just so I can show my kids this is what happens when you don't fight tyranny. When you join the majority when they're wrong. That's just the way I've always been.
That is precisely why one of the reasons I love history is those kinds of thoughts, and exactly the reason that I'm fine with things like Nazi memorabilia, and I maybe memorabilia is such a wrong word, but artifacts, let's call them. It is those. I mean, fuck, you have no idea how bad I want like a Walther, although that's more World War I, the Luger, World War II.
Piece of shit's what they are.
I saw a guy firing one the other week in the gun range.
So, but that's like most people for some reason don't think the way I do. And I'm totally cool with that because realistically speaking, the way I would do it would be inappropriate because nobody would get it the way I do. But I'm afraid, as future generation goes, things are going to be forgotten. And the Disney stuff and all that, it's just the tail end of a larger conversation for me about how I'm afraid that we're going to get so bogged down by the modern life with the internet and all this.
Well, I think our main problem going on in the future is going to be too much information. That's already the problem my fucking brain is run into is well, for one, I'm stupid and I have way too many interests. And I fill it up with a lot of useless nonsense. But there's too much shit out there. There's way too much information for us to all pay attention to. I don't think any of these things are going away. I think it's just all going to get so fragmented that we're only ever going to know like 1% of anything in the future.
So you're saying basically...
no, he's Homer Simpson.
So what he's saying is
every time he learns something new, it pushes something old out of his brain.
So you're saying basically what happened is everything's going to get drowned out.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, look at movies, man. That's what we've done pretty much our whole lives is go fucking look for movies. Remember how easy that shit used to be? There was like 10 movies.
So one of the things that I've done, and I'm trying to do really hard because it stresses me the fuck out, is I've purposely been avoiding the news. I listen to one news program a day.
Man,
and that's it.
I don't even do that anymore.
There's a there's a show
there's a fucking tuned out.
There's a radio show I listen to Sacramento. They're on the conservative side, but I think far as radio shows go, they're very obvious in their bias. So it's easy to tell. They're the only thing I listen to on a regular basis. Besides that, I don't watch any news, and it has made an amazing amount of on my life of just relaxing because the shit with Trump, the stuff with this, it's just like none of it really matters. In the scheme of life, I'm going to live my life the way I always have.
Yeah, I mean that's really what it kind of boils down to is I've heard people like my grandparents talk about they've never really had a president directly affect their lives in any real significant way. So there's a lot of larger issues that deal with larger groups of humanity and not necessarily affect an individual too often. But it doesn't matter. I mean, does it make you money or does it make you happy? And fucking neither when it comes to that. I try to pay attention just to like the nuts and bolts style articles. I avoid anything opinion based these days.
I try not. Honestly, I've been trying to be ignorant on the news. The only thing I want to do on a daily basis is hug my wife and play with my little boy. I don't.
Yeah, I have none of that, but I get what you mean.
I don't really care anymore, and it didn't really come up until with Donald Trump. Now, I'm not a big fan of his, but if you listen to any news, it's literally 24 hours of bashing. I've heard less negative stuff about Hitler than I have about Donald Trump. So it's ridiculous hyperbole. And so like I tuned it out because it's affecting my stress level. I've got more important shit to worry about than what, the Tangerine Dream has to say. So
yeah, no kidding.
So I totally think you're right. Not only do we have too much information, I think we're just having too much thrown at us too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's just one. I mean, like whatever, 15 years ago, the internet hit, and we were all basically asked to now be aware of the other 6.5 billion people at the time. People on the planet.
And the weirdest,
and it's kind of fucking overwhelming, man. Like, you used to have like a community and people were concerned with that. Now it's you're hard pressed to talk to somebody that lives in your town.
I kind of wonder if that's something we're missing. And this is a complete.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Well, I mean, missing far as we're missing a sense of community. And so since I'm not fucking 70, I don't really know, but from the TV shows.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about let's go to community centers and shit like that.
Well, no, but it seemed like talking to a good friend of mine is 78, I think. So he grew up in the 50s and 60s, and it sounded like that, back in the day, from the people I've talked to, you had your neighbors, you had a close group of friends, you, if not regularly, you semi-regularly hung out with them, or you went to church, and you had a community of people. And I kind of wonder, and if modern society, if that's true, if modern society is leading people away from community. Now, I had a pastor of mine, a gentleman by the name of Bill Search, once said in a sermon, God made us with a community-sized hole for us to fill. And I'm kind of wondering if we as a society are, especially now that the internet's around, and we're trying to fill that hole with other things except real life communication with people. Now, the other side is the fact I think everybody there's so much vitriolic bullshit in today's society. Hanging around with people is almost hard because of how, everybody's on each other's nerves these days.
Well, I mean, but that's part of the reason that I just kind of ditched the whole news and politics game in general. I pay attention as much as, is there a zombie apocalypse? No, okay, we're good. I don't even check the weather. But whether I'm a liberal or conservative, I don't think I'm either. I don't really like labels in general. I don't like labels, man. Or whether you guys are more liberal or conservative or, what have you. I love you anyway. It's not going to change, my friendship with you. So, we can sit here and have like actually decent discussions, which we generally do. I've never actually fought with you guys as far as like our opinions go. What we just did was about as heated as a conversation as we have. But, we'll have discussions about like, hey, here's my opinion, here's your opinion. I respect you enough to tell you if I think you're wrong, and you do me as well, hopefully. If I was better at articulating my opinion, it wouldn't have taken 30 minutes of the show to do it. Yeah, no worries. But I don't know. I feel something's missing because I feel it in my life, that the sense of community, like there's friends. Part of it is all my friends are scattered from here to eternity. I'm in eternity. The woman who was on the show a couple of months ago is a really dear friend of mine, and I miss seeing her, and I miss hanging out with James regularly. And there's just so much that I miss that I feel that
as a society, at least for me, I don't think we get enough of. I think we're so caught up with it's not even keeping up with the Joneses. I think at this point in society, at least where we are now in California, we're working our asses off just to keep what we have. And what we have for a lot of people I know isn't all that much.
Yeah, well, even from the non-religious standpoint, me specifically, that's the one thing I missed about church, was and I didn't realize it till much older, because I was never ever ill-treated by anybody at church. I didn't leave religion because, like I was touched by a priest or some people were assholes to me or some shit like that. I fucking loved everybody. Me and James are basically, James is one of my best friends in the world. We met at church back in the day and basically kicked it ever since. I loved everybody I went to church with, and you miss a lot of those people, but it was really the sense of the community. Hey, I see these people every week. There's this sort of sense of accountability, even though people aren't up your ass about it. It's just this, hey, these people are all asking me if I'm okay, every week. And I'm asking them, and I'm actually genuinely interested in their answers, and we're all sitting there talking and commiserating over a common thing, whatever that thing might be.
No, I
and
know.
I've actually heard, of like atheist churches out there where people just get together and do the sense of community part of it all. That seems a little too fucking hokey for me. But yeah, I still search for just like those groups of people where I'm just like, hey, I belong here.
Yeah, I know for me, I've always been looking for people to hang out with, because I'm not the easiest person to hang out with or get to know. Just particularly because I'm a hardcore geek, so when I get excited about something, I can't shut the fuck up about it. Because when I get into something, or I get something that I'm just so laser focused on, that encompasses my entire world. I've literally spent months finding about as much information of something just because it piques my curiosity. Then I'm like, okay, I'm done, and I'm on the next thing, then on the next thing, and my level of intensity on things can be hard for people to take.
I think, you know what? I'll tell you what, man. I got to know you by accident because you know James.
Yeah, that's true.
And I consider you a very, very great friend of mine. The relatively handful of times that we've really hung out in person, I fucking dug your company.
I appreciate that. By the way, you got to come up here because
fucking A, man. I've been thinking about that for a while now.
Because I'm not coming down there.
James,
what's that?
You still have my alcoholic beverage?
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yes, I do. I've actually.
So I went to a fucking Ren.
Huh?
Nice. I went to a Ren fair.
Yeah.
The other day.
Did you get a turkey leg?
I haven't been since I was a kid. No, I did not get a turkey leg.
Dude, I've always wanted to go to one, and all the ones that are around here, like in my county, it's like, I'm not going to see a bunch of meth heads dressed in Hot Topic clothing. It's just not going to fucking happen.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, this is the oldest one that they've done, like, I think in the country.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
But it's really dope. There's a ton of fucking, like, really big semi-permanent structures. I mean, they put this place together well. But, it's a super dorkiest fucking thing to do of all time, but I fucking love it.
No, LARPing
and I
is
my girlfriend and whatnot.
No, LARPing is that. Ren fairs that sound kind of fun.
I agree. It's borderline LARPing, but kind of at your own level of participation, Like I was wearing a Darth Vader shirt, and I kept claiming he was the sigil of my house. But it's a fucking good time. I can't remember why the hell I brought this up.
Well, when you're thinking of that, you reminded me of something. So I've got neighbors who have a Trump flag, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of Trump, but I also don't go shouting from the rooftops about him. But so I decided, like, instead of flying a Trump flag or American flag, I want to buy a Star Wars Imperial flag and hang that from my house.
Why the hell not?
Hell yeah. That's why I brought it up. I had mead while I was there at the Ren Fair.
I kind of figured that's where you're going. I was just waiting until you got there.
Yeah, I never had mead before, and they had mead, and I'm like, well, fuck yeah, I'm having mead surrounded by knights and shit. Is it usually like carbonated?
Isn't it
Not usually?
It's honey based though, isn't it?
Yes, it's a honey wine.
It is honey based. So it is commonly carbonated, commonly.
No,
not uncommonly.
Traditional, no.
Or
modern, probably.
Traditionally, it is not carbonated. It can become carbonated, but with it depends on the yeast they use and if they add it to it. Some of them do, some of them don't. It's just.
Oh,
okay. So it's not the most uncommon thing.
No.
To have a carbonated meat. Okay.
I was going to say,
anyway,
but if you ever come up,
meat is tasty as shit.
I've always wanted to try it.
Fuck, I had about 8 of those damn things.
Did
Maybe like 6, but
no. By the way,
I'll
if
try
you
my most recent batch and see if I'll send it to you.
If and when you come up there's a place by where I live now. These people on the weekends sell fresh honey of different flavors, and it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we have a lot of those around here, the honey farms.
Oh, dude. Like my son has this little water toy. It's basically like a table with water in it. During the height of the summer, bees are getting water out of it, so it's kind of fun just to sit back and watch the bees do whatever bees do.
You mean mate?
No, they're getting water and shit.
I know, I'm just kidding. Shit.
Because after that Joe Rogan podcast with James Hetfield from Metallica, I now know a little bit more about bees than I ever thought I would. Which made me laugh because there's this heavy metal rocker talking about bees. I'm more convinced than ever.
Fucking Maynard from Tool grows fucking grapes and makes wine.
That dude is so weird.
He is so fucking weird, man.
A relative of mine or somebody I know, she was going to the restroom and Maynard from Tool was actually washing his hands in the women's restroom. And apparently they were, if I remember correctly, she was short and they were the same height.
Apparently, he's an odd duck.
Apparently he's really...
speaking of fucking wine, every now and again this occurs to me. At your wedding, James, I think it was the dinner, maybe the night before, there was somebody, I want to say a relative of yours, that made like a green apple wine.
Okay.
Do you remember this person I'm talking about?
Probably one of my uncles.
Okay.
They
remember
do
this
shit
wine
like
that I'm talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, my uncles do that stuff.
I fucking never liked a white wine more than that shit. And somebody, I don't know who, was like, oh yeah, let me know, I'll get you a case. And I never heard back.
Ooh.
Did you talk to them, like get like Facebook information or some crap or what?
Of course not.
See, that could
No,
be
I
why.
thought the universe was supposed to bring us together again, and I was supposed to get that dope-ass fucking wine.
It also could be, remember the lady that lives with my parents, Thora? It could have been her son.
Okay, yeah, it was somebody, but I remember fucking...
Dude, I know so many people that make wines. It's like, I know so many alcoholics that do their own stuff, and it's like,
I will say, if you want to try a pretty good whiskey that's cheap, Buffalo Trace is actually pretty decent. It's not my favorite, but it is pretty good.
I'll remember that next time I want to try a whiskey, which is hardly ever.
I have like I have an old-fashioned at least once a week.
Oh, old fashions are good, but that's rye whiskey. That's slightly different.
I followed this recipe. There's a guy called Cocktail Chemistry on YouTube, and so I followed what he did, and then I modified it for my taste.
Do you muddle?
Yes.
Are you a muddler?
I've actually for Christmas I got the whole regalia. By the way,
nice.
Bar spoons are super fucking handy for other things than just stirring a mixed drink. By the way,
what I fucking got into not that long ago was Moscow mules. Those things are fucking tasty.
Yeah, the only issue with all these mixed drinks is the fact that I like, in order for me to get on to the next one, I got to finish this thing of whiskey. Oh, this is hilarious. So for Christmas, my dad got me a cinnamon cordial. Basically, it's actual cinnamon, but it's alcoholic cinnamon. So if you mix the whiskey I have with a cinnamon cordial, it's like Fireball whiskey, but doesn't have that plastic taste to it.
I don't know what
Actually,
you.
that sounds.
I mean, have you tried Fireball, Ryan?
I always had this plastic taste.
Yeah,
to me.
I have. I'm not a fan.
I'm not a fan either, but John keeps going on about this plasticky taste, and I'm like, I don't know what you did.
I think it's one of those things when you sort of like brew it. I don't know. Do you brew fucking whiskey? Stupid question. When you're making whiskey, I don't think when you add it as a flavor like that, sort of manufacture the flavor that it's good. I think if you add something to it, like like a real cinnamon, something like that, it might be good. It might set it off in some interesting way.
Because the back end of Fireball to me is disgusting. I absolutely cannot.
Yeah,
stand
no,
it.
It's fucking awful.
And so,
to me, it's the difference between like actual bananas and like banana flavored Runts.
Yeah, I like the banana flavored Runts a lot better than
I was
like
gonna say,
Fireball.
It's the worst banana flavor of all time.
Well, I actually don't disagree, but I like it a hell of a lot better.
Now I figured out where they got the banana flavored Runts from. If you've ever had an overripe banana,
Yes,
that's the flavor of banana flavored Runts.
That's super weird, plasticky, super sweet.
Yep.
I totally agree with you on that one.
Yeah, so I kind of was like tried just like a kind of a mushy banana, because that's what I use in banana breads or any type of thing that I'm gonna cook with bananas. You want them like mushy, unless you're doing bananas Foster. Then, but that taste is what I got off of it, and I was trying banana flavor Runts, and I'm like, that's where they got it from. Just like an overripe banana. Yeah.
Well, on that super interesting banana note, I gotta bail. I've got to cook some food.
So I was actually gonna say we've definitely rounded out an hour. We're actually 1 minute over, about to be 2. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James the Fat Man Stevens, and Ryan No Watch No Fun Preston. As always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.